Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me tonight. It looks like we're live and we're a few minutes early. So I see we have 3 people watching. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. And I'm just going to wait a few minutes to give everybody a little bit of time. And hope you guys can hear me. So we're just going to give it a few minutes. So this reading is this tarot card and oracle card reading is going to be about what would have happened if there was a Moonlighting reunion with Bruce Willis, Cybill Shepherd, and the original cast. And so this is what the reading is going to be tonight. All right, thank you. We have 5 people now. And feel free to, comment, guys, and ask questions and, post as we go along. All right. Okay. All right, guys. So this reading is definitely say hi, and thank you, let me know you're here, and like I said, feel free to and as this reading goes along. So what really prompted Diana, thank you so much. Really, what inspired me to do this reading tonight, a couple of things. First of all, I've always wanted to see, yes, I agree. I think this should be very interesting tonight, Diana. I've always wanted to see a Moonlighting reunion because I felt that the ending for the show, Gordon Caron, the creator of the show, left in the beginning of the 5th season. And it was under very sad circumstances with Maddie losing, spoiler alert, Maddie losing the baby. And, and then it was just, it really, went downhill from there. And, the ending was rushed anyway. And it just was not a fitting ending at all to such a brilliant, groundbreaking show with the 2 leads with such amazing chemistry. I mean, just iconic together. And still to this day, the corporate media and, and fans all over the world, still talk about Moonlighting and the mark that it made. So I've always wanted a reunion, and I actually founded a campaign to try to get a reunion made back in 2001 with my good friend Diana Mayoko and my friend Christy Taylor. And it evolved into getting the DVDs released because musical rights were holding it up. So I've always wanted to see a reunion, but even more so was recently, weeks ago, on a Zoom call with several other Moonlighting fans, some of the other Moonlighting writers like Jeff Reno and Ron Osborne, and Cybill Shepherd as well. Glenn had shared that Bruce Willis, I don't know, he didn't say how many years ago, but he said it was a while back, and it was before Bruce retired. And Glenn had received a couple of calls from Bruce Willis. And he said that Bruce had said that he was tired of traveling and making films outside the US. And he wanted to know how Glenn could bring back Moonlighting. Now, what I take that at is that probably we're talking about 2020, maybe the late 2010s, that Bruce was thinking about doing this. But then sadly he got sick and he retired from acting. The way I see this is that in this day and age of streaming, what Bruce was probably talking about was a streaming series. That's probably what he was thinking. Because shows like Cobra Kai and Fuller House, these, 80s hit movies and, 80s hit shows, how they brought back the show and continued it. So that's where I think would have went realistically. And I think it would have been, I think it could have been amazing. I don't know if you agree with me, but I think it could have been amazing. To see that kind of continuation of Moonlighting with the original cast as a streaming series. And they could have, whether Glenn had said that no matter what in his heart, that, Maddie and David would definitely wind up together, whether it was that he was on two different ideas, all these years, basically, that, either they would meet up again after all these years and get back together, or they've been together this whole time, they've been married and have children, and what would their relationship look like now? And, I think that that's the way these shows go now, where you have the original cast, but then you bring in new characters that are connected to, the classic characters, and, and that's how you build it up. I mean, like with Cobra Kai, you have, all this younger cast playing their students and playing their kids, and it works. So that's why I think it would go. I'm not sure if, you guys agree with me, or not, and feel free to throw your ideas out of what you think, a reunion would have looked like for Moonlighting at this point. But I think realistically, in this day and age of streaming, I think that's probably where it would have went. So, all right. So I want to see, I'm going to ask the cards, would a Moonlighting reunion with the original cast, either if it was a movie, which is probably the only thing it could have been when we were doing the campaign, or it was now, if it had happened 10 years ago, a streaming series, would it have been a hit? Would it have been a hit? And what would the legacy then be for Moonlighting if the show or a movie was a success? What would it have, what would have changed for Moonlighting? Because it's, Moonlighting had the Moonlighting curse attached to it for so long. So, all right, guys. So let's see what comes out here. First off, would Moonlighting, a reunion, either a movie or TV series, a continued series, be a hit? Let's see what comes out here. Would Moonlighting have been a hit as a reunion, or either movie or a series? Would have been a success all these years later? Would it have been a success? Okay, let's see. All right, so we have the world card. It would have been global, how it would have been released to the world. It would have been a global, big time project with this world card. There is an end of a cycle, but I suspect it would probably be a cycle of not having Moonlighting and having any, new content, new scenes, and Bruce and Cybill working together after all these years. Knight of Cups. This is a courtship energy. There's this romantic energy. So it would have been global, and it would have had a very romantic tone to it, obviously. So Glenn would do something really romantic with the storyline. Now, the death card is on the bottom of the deck. So there's some kind of ending here, or transformation. I suspect it's transformation. Again, I think the ending would be that, Moonlighting hadn't been, and also this would have happened before the show streamed. So there would have been a major cycle of an ending of the show not being available all these years because the DVDs are out of print. So, that's just so. Yeah. So I don't, please, definitely, if you have any, ideas or comments or thoughts, please share, guys. And, please, I'd love to hear what you have to say, your thoughts about it. Okay. So it would have been global. It would have been very romantic storyline for Maddie and David, and it would have there would have been some kind of ending, or transformation. I think it would be personally. I think it's transformation. So let's see. And if you enjoyed this video, please like it, guys. Please like the video as you're watching too. Okay. So it would have been global. It would have been, I think it would have been very popular globally. And there would have been a new kind of love and transformation of love from Moonlighting. So I take this that so far, yes, it would have been, I think it would have been a success, with that romantic energy attached to it. Let's see what else here. So what would have been the result, the legacy of the show with this, whatever type of reunion it would have been, a movie or a TV streaming or a streaming series? What would have been the results? Let's see what comes out here. What would have been the result from Moonlighting if this reunion had actually happened before Bruce had retired? Let's see what else here. Hold on. Sorry about that. Okay. The Seven of Swords. This is a sort of deceptive energy here, and the moon, and that is Bruce's card. Yeah, he is a Pisces, and that's his sign. Ace of Wands. It would have been a powerful new beginning. It would have most certainly been a powerful new beginning for the show, for the legacy of the show. There still would have been some of that Moonlighting curse attached still back if this had come out in like 2015. But, I don't know what that Seven of Swords is popping up, but yeah, it's kind of hidden here. Also, with this moon, what the legacy would have been. I mean, obviously, we'll never know, unfortunately, because it just didn't happen. When Bruce was, capable of doing that kind of performance, unfortunately. But there is a powerful new beginning here with the Ace of Wands on the bottom of the deck here. All right, I'm going to clarify the cards. Let's see what else with this World card. Let's see what else with this World card. All right. And, obviously, I want to wish Bruce Willis and his family a very happy 70th birthday to Bruce. And we all, hope that, he can pull through. We all pray that he can get better, that he can, have his higher quality of life for him and his family that he possibly can have, struggling so harshly with this, so severely with this terrible disease. So let's see, but it's very sad, but he's surrounded with people that love him and giving the best of life. So, okay, so let's see what else comes out here. I'm going to clarify the World card with this major world, cycle ending and this world phenomenon energy that Moonlighting would have if there was, it would be talk all over the world. Let's see what else comes out here. All right, Queen of Coins. So it would have been profitable with this Queen of Coins, because this is a good amount of sustainable money here. So it would have taken on new life financially for itself. There is a 3 of swords here on the bottom of the deck. There might be some disappointment in how it was executed, or what the story would be. What kind of performance Bruce could have given at let's say in 2015, or we really don't know how sick, and how much he's struggled for as long as he has. We really don't know, unfortunately. So, but all right. So there is an element of disappointment. So some fans would love it, and some wouldn't. It's Glenn has said that he's been struggling, for years to be like, he's, what does love look like in your 60s? He was saying, what does love look like in your 60s? So, some people would love it, some people would be disappointed, but it would be profitable, and it would have been a global, I think it would have been a global success, and it would have it would have transformed the show and given it some kind of new some kind of new life, some kind of new major cycle, new powerful new beginning, with the Ace of Wands on the bottom of the deck. All right. So again, we have 4 people watching. Thank you so much, guys. Please, say hello in the chat, and please, let me know your thoughts. I believe that, I'm only seeing Diana's type, her messaging. I just want to check to see if, just going to double check and make sure that there isn't more being said here that I'm. No, it doesn't look like it. Okay. All right. All right. So I'm going to clarify the Knight of Cups. Let's see what comes out here. Clarify the Knight of Cups. What is this? Romantic. It would be romantic. There would be definitely a romantic storyline here. So that would be definitely what we want, obviously, after the way that the show ended, with Maddie and David rushing to try to get married, and the priest says, no, I won't marry you. Oh, thank you so much, Levelise, for joining. I somehow lost you on Discord, so I'm just going to watch on YouTube Live. Oh, thank you so much, Levelise. Thank you. Definitely, let me know your thoughts. Basically, what I said was that I think that probably when Bruce said to Glenn that let's bring Moonlighting back, I have a feeling he probably was looking at shows, like Cobra Kai, that are streaming series that brought back successful 80s movies or 80s TV shows. And hi, I'm happy I caught this in 12:16 a.m. in the UK. Thank you so much, Lynn. Thank you for joining me. Thank you. If you enjoy this video, guys, please like it as well. All right. So the Knight of Cups judgment. There would have been a lot of. It would be a little, controversial. There would be some controversy. Like I said, the Moonlighting fan community have been a little bit split on how they felt about the reunion, and so some people would love it and some people would like it, and it would have been big talk in society with this Hierophant. So there would have been a lot of judgment. There would have been a lot of opinions. Don't forget, Moonlighting missed the whole social media, everything. It missed everything. It went off in 1989. So it would have dealt with a lot more judgment, by the public globally. So a lot of people, a lot of critics would have had a lot to say about this. And some people would love it and somebody would like it. Some people even hate it. You never know. But there would have been a lot of decisions to be made about, if it, what would happen. Let's say they did a movie and then either was kind of a split reaction, or some people thought that it should, if they did bring it into some kind of streaming series later, what would that look like? So it would have been, there would have been a lot of different opinions on where it would have went. All right, what's this Seven of Swords sort of deceptive energy here? Sorry, just dropped. All right, we got the Star. So, there'd be a lot of healing here. And this is Aquarius energy. We've got Bruce and Cybill's signs here. The Star and the Moon. So Bruce and Cybill definitely would have been in it. They definitely would be in this thing. And, it definitely would have helped healed, the painful ending, the disappointment with the way that the show ended. Lynn said, I think a reunion would have introduced a whole new audience. Yes, absolutely. That could have fallen in love with David and Maddie. Absolutely. Just like the streaming, the show's streaming now on Hulu and Tubi and being available digitally to buy and, through Amazon, all these different, different ways you can purchase it digitally, has brought in new fans and revived people's interest in the show. A reunion would have definitely, brought in a lot of new fans. Absolutely. There's this Eight of Swords energy on the bottom of the deck. So it was kind of feeling trapped. Not sure what that means exactly, but I don't know. I mean, I think that's why Glenn, has been 7 people now watching. Thank you so much for joining, guys. If you like this video, please like it and comment and let me know your thoughts. Like I said, I think it probably would have been if it happened when we started the campaign, it would have been a movie probably. That's probably, what Bruce would have agreed to. And now, if it was 2015 or later, it would have been a streaming series, I think. It would have been a continued streaming. It would be a series continuing the story, wherever Glenn decided that it was going to leave off from. So it would have been a little controversial. I'm seeing this sort of mixed energy. It would have been a success. It would have been popular all over the world. There would have been a lot of differing opinions on it. So, and let's see, it would have been healing for the show. It would have been a powerful new beginning with the Ace of Wands on the bottom of the deck. All right, let's see what this moon energy is. This sort of hidden, mysterious energy, moonlighting. Of course, we get the moon. So, all right, show me the dominant energy of what this moon is. And I got to speed this up. All right, let's see. Okay. All right. So we got the 4 wands. There would have been a lot of celebration with this, and it would have been stable. It would have been stable. But, despite the fact that, there's this hidden, mysterious energy, and there would have been a lot of truth that came out. There'd be a lot of talk about moonlighting again, a lot. And a lot of people would be thinking about it. We got 2 aces, here with the Ace of Wands and the Ace of Swords. We got this 5 of Swords. So again, it's this sort of, mixed energy that some people, this kind of like combative, a little bit of chaotic energy here. It would have been a powerful new beginning, but some people would be arguing about it. Some people would love it to see them so much older. And some people, oh no, they should have just left it. And, when they were in their 30s, it would have been controversial. It would be a hit. A lot of people would be talking about it, but it would be mixed opinions. It would be differing opinions on this. It wouldn't be, where everybody agreed that, like with Cobra Kai, I mean, I think it seems like, the original fandom of the movie saga seemed to universally just love, the direction that the creators of Karate Kid movies took the show. So this would have been a little bit different. It would have been a differing opinions here. So it wouldn't just be all smooth sailing. There would be some differing opinions on this. So, all right. So let's see. So we've got this powerful new beginning with this sort of combative energy. Let's see if there's anything else I want to clarify. And then I'm going to get to the Oracle cards. And we got to move quick because we're going to start our live viewing party in celebration of Bruce's birthday with the next Murder You Hear at our Discord group, which I hope you guys can join us. Okay, so you know what? I just want to see. I want to see what this Four of Wands, Ace of Swords, and Moon card is for the legacy of where this would have been for the show. Let's see. All right. Okay. All right. So it definitely would have been profitable. King of Pentacles. It would have been very profitable. And, there might be some issues, legally but this would balance things out. This would right a wrong. Justice card is ruled by Libra. And, it's kind of like, righting a wrong energy. So the reunion or the series would have righted a wrong in a lot of fans' opinions and new fans for, where Moonlighting was left off, with lunar eclipse and that, excuse my language. It was a dumpster fire, in my opinion, with the way it happened. Magician. So there would be a lot of opportunity, even, after movie or after the, after the series or while the series is going. And, I was thinking about this, okay, I think it would have been made more sense at this point for them to be married all this time and have kids and somehow kept the, the agency going, like your mind can just go wild. Okay, one of their kids is in surveillance and another one is a hacker and, and what does, what are Bert and Agnes's kids doing? And you could just keep going. Like there's so much that, and there's all this technology. They can do stories line that they didn't have. There's so much that Glenn could have done with this if, they could have done a streaming series, like 10 to 5 years ago, 5 years ago. There was so much that they could have done. And I think it would have been awesome. I mean, yes, some people would be like, oh, it's, it's not the same as, when, Bruce and Cybill in their 30s, but who cares? They still would have been amazing together. So, all right. So, yeah, it would have been a little controversial. Some people would have, butted their heads on this a little bit, but, what are you going to do? All right. I want to see, I'm going to use these Oracle cards. Let's see what comes out here. I'm going to clarify the cards here. All right. Let's see what else. What is this World card and this Queen of, this global energy, ending a major cycle, and this Queen of Coins of taking care of, that things would be taken care of financially. There would be a stable situation. The show, either it's a streaming show or a movie, whatever the reunion would have been, it would have been a global success, I think. And it would have brought money. It would have been sustainable, financial investment for whoever would have done, Disney or whatever would have produced this. I imagine it would have been on Hulu. I don't see a Moonlighting reunion or streaming, series going on Disney Plus. That would just be playing it too safe. It would have to have probably been on Hulu. All right, so let's see. Show me the dominant energy of what this World card with the Queen of Coins energy is here. about whether the reunion would have been a success. Let me see what the dominant energy is. Would a reunion have been a success? Thief, with official person. So, I'm in Glenn, I guess. Again, some people would have felt that, they should have left it as it was, but some people would be like, yes, the thief could be there too because, people felt robbed. We've felt robbed for decades, the way the show ended, with this official person. I don't know. Maybe, one of them would have, maybe there would have been some arguments about, how much, what their salaries would be with, how much the network, what Disney or whatever would want to pay them. Who knows? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Lovelise and Lynn, for joining us. Thank you so much. All right, let's see what this Knight of Cups and Judgment energy is here. Concern, community. Yeah, again, there would have been a lot of social media. There would have been also, what probably would be the case here with this concern is that, let's say they did start a streaming series back in 2018 or whatever it is. And then it would be apparent that it would be getting harder and harder for Bruce to be able to handle, the role with the health issues that he was, struggling with. There would have been concern. There would have been talk. It would have been very apparent that, the thing is that if it was a success, the streaming show, it might have been cut short. And that would have been a big, sad disappointment, that like, yes, the show was doing really well, but now they couldn't, let's say they were in the second season or they were in the third, and people wanted it to continue. And now they can't because Bruce is just too sick, to be able to handle that kind of fast-paced dialogue. So that's the other thing about this sort of, some people would love it, some people would be disappointed, have mixed feelings about it. So, all right, let's see what this Seven of Swords is, sort of deceptive energy with this healing, with the star. And also, this is, again, I saw this in other readings, the moon and the star. This is a divine connection, with Bruce and Cybill working together again. I mean, and it's their, this is their signs, Aquarius, Pisces and Aquarius. So, I mean, Bruce was absolutely born to play this part. Occupation, it would have been, and change. So, there might have been a sustainable job here for Bruce and Cybill to do the show. They would have been dealing with a lot of change, probably because of, Bruce's health issues. But, and it would have been I think, seeing Occupation, this is more than a movie. So I think it would have been a series. I think it would have been a series, and it probably would have been on Hulu, and then it probably would have gotten cut short because of Bruce's health issues. Probably that's probably what would have happened, unfortunately. All right, and let me see what this moon energy is here with this. It's the Four of Wands and the Ace of Swords. Let's see what this is. Show me the dominant energy, what this, sort of hidden, mysterious moon Pisces energy is here with the Legacy, main male. Unexpected income. It could have been profitable, for Bruce. It could have been a profitable gig. And, he could have maybe, done some merchandising, marketing, built a brand with, Glenn. And this could be Glenn too. It would have been profitable. It would have been profitable for Bruce. It would have been profitable for Glenn, and this legacy. Because my boyfriend has I got him a Cobra Kai t-shirt for his birthday. There's a lot of marketing. There's a lot of merchandising that could have happened here if the show had, went to streaming. In this day and age with social media and digital and everything else, it would have been profitable, and there would have been opportunities for merchandising and that type of thing. All right. Let's see. I'm gonna have 2 more Oracle cards. I'm gonna look up a little bit more on the World card, whether it would have been a success, and I'm gonna look more on the Moon card of the, we have these 2 on the ends here. The beginning and end of this reading, we have this, major arcana energy here. So it would have been a big deal. It really would have been a big deal if it had actually happened. All right, let me see what this moon energy is with the Queen of Coins, of whether a reunion show would have been a success with the original cast. And we have the Maze. So, there would be some tough decisions. It wouldn't have been easy, especially, that Glenn would want to do this on a very high level, and he would want he'd want to bring all the writers back, which I honestly think a lot of the Moonlighting writers and directors would have jumped at the chance to work with, to work on a continuation of Moonlighting, some kind of reunion. I do, especially if it was streaming series. I think a lot of them would have loved it. Anchor, there would have been a stable situation here for a while. It might have been confusing, which, Moonlighting has a history of, but it would have been somewhat of a stable situation. So there would have been a successful situation. It would have been stable. And Cybill would have had, it would have been successful for Cybill too, with the woman on the bottom of the deck. It would have been successful for Cybill as well. And this would have been a stable, opportunity for her. And, there may be something, Bruce would have, maybe had new projects to work on, and, trying to deal with, this, which way does he turn now? And then dealing with his health issues and everything. But this would have been definitely a stable situation. And I think it could have been even a new resurgence, for Cybill. She might have got even more opportunities, which makes perfect sense, with playing Maddie Hayes again. And let's see what the Moon card is. We got 6 people watching now. Thank you so much. And definitely, share your ideas, guys. We got about 10 minutes till our live viewing party on Discord. The next Murder You Hear starts. So let's see what we have here. Okay. So we have the man with the rose. So again, this would have been it would have had a very romantic tone. And instead of this moonlighting curse and all this, I think people would agree, more, the legacy would have been that, they were meant to be. Maddie and David were meant to be. This is one of the great romances of all time, of a TV series. There would have been a lot of social media. There would have been a lot of messaging, a lot about this. It wouldn't always be easy. There would be a struggle here. There would be a lot to overcome. And I also suspect, again, that would be maybe a little bit later into the, if it was a series, 2nd, 3rd season, it would have become apparent that, it just would be very difficult for Bruce. There's the mice here in reverse. So there is some kind of delayed loss here. And I think, again, this means I think that the show wouldn't have went to 5, 6 seasons, because it would have been cut short, probably because Bruce would have had to retire And we have the fox here, and there's some kind of deception again that pops up. We had in the Seven of Swords, maybe Disney, whatever. Let's say it was a big cast and Disney didn't want to spend, because Bruce, his salary would have been really high probably for Disney to have to pay for Bruce to play David Addison again, especially in a series. So there might be some deception from from Disney or whatever executives that, they kind of wanted to cut the show short because, of whatever reason. But it would have been great. I think it would have been a success, and it would have been quite the talk on social media. It would have really been something. Not without its controversy, not without its mixed opinions. It definitely would have been. I've seen a very strong, theme here of romance, a romantic energy. It definitely would have been romantic. Glenn would have made it romantic and fun, and the show would have definitely, whatever the reunion would have been, it would have definitely hinged on Maddie and David's love for one another, and that would have been the running, plot, and that was the heart. That would have been the heart of either a movie or a streaming series. Again, I think it's a streaming series because I saw Occupation with main male. And we also had the Queen of Pentacles as the first, one of the first cards. And this is about a sustainable financial situation and taking care of your finances. So it would have been a stable situation, and it might have been a movie, unless they decided to do a sequel. But I think if it's a job, I think that's probably a streaming series that it probably would have been. So, all right. So I'm going to pull one oracle card. I'm going to use the Moonology, and I'm going to get one more message about this. If we had a reunion of some kind, what does the universe want us to know about, if there was a reunion for Moonlighting with Bruce and Cybill? What does the universe want us to know? A time to give a time to give rather than to take. New moon in Virgo. And we have don't let pride get in your way. Well, I think it would have been a commitment, for Bruce to set aside his movie career earlier in his career, and he was just very much in demand. And, unfortunately, I think that's what stopped this from happening. Maybe Glenn, was just a little too afraid, to take the risk. I honestly have a feeling there's probably Glenn has like two scripts with two different versions of what he, would imagine how to do a reunion with Bruce, with Maddie and David. I think he has probably two versions. One is they come together and meet up after all these years and they get involved in another case, or it's, they've been together all this time. They have kids. Everybody has kids. And what would that world look like? Which, again, in my opinion, I think is the more realistic. And I think, you could do more with that, and you could build a whole show around that, I think, so, and you could bring all these new, some new young actors in it, like they have with Cobra Kai, and some of them have become huge, stars, have, become really, successful. So, and then you can build now Netflix wants to build these world, like the universe of Karate Kid, and all this stuff. So, who knows? Glenn could have done the universe of Moonlighting, what their kids are doing, and, whatever. I mean, it's the possibilities. So unfortunately, the timing just was never right. And maybe there was some pride that got in the way over the years to stop it. But unfortunately, that's what we wound up with but, I thank goodness that for the DVDs, Bruce, Cybill, and Glenn did the commentary together, and I think there was a real good reconciliation between them. And we were lucky enough to, see that beautiful hug with Bruce and Cybill at the end of Moonlighting Memories. And, that was our reunion. And I sadly, Glenn said he will not try to do Moonlighting without Bruce. And in my opinion, that's the right decision. So, we've got the show streaming, we've got our community. So, we have to be grateful for what we have. But it would have been great, and it would have been a success, and it would have been not without controversy. And Moonlighting, as you know, was full of that. But a lot of people would have loved it. There would have been mixed opinions. And it would have been, and if it was a series, it would have been cut short because probably for Bruce's health issues. So that's what I see here, guys. So if you enjoyed this reading, please like it. And I'm having a special right now, $15 off a one reading with me. Personal tarot card reading, and you can visit my website at progressivetarot.com, and the coupon code is in the description of this video. And if you have any questions or what kind of reading you would like, definitely send me a message on Facebook, or you can email me at info@progressivetarot.com. And I definitely will do more readings in the future. Happy birthday, Bruce Willis. Happy 70th birthday. We love you, and we hope that you can get better and enjoy, the highest quality of life that you can enjoy. Happy birthday, Bruce. Thank you guys for joining me tonight.